Hey guys, today I wanted to talk a little bit about birth and labor and having a natural labor and delivery. Labor and delivery is so challenging, and if you don't have tools and techniques and you kind of go in without having any prep knowledge, chances are you will not achieve that unmedicated birth that you desire. So it's important to be prepared, especially if this is your first birth. So after having 2 natural births myself, I wanted to share some of my tips on how I made natural birth possible. The first thing is to read and research beforehand, whether that's reading books on natural birth, speaking to mothers who have had natural births, watching YouTube videos, just really researching on natural birth, so that way when you're actually in it, you know what you can do to make the pain not so unbearable for you. Because if you just say, oh, I want to have a natural birth, but you don't do anything to prep and prepare for it, chances are you're probably going to ask for an epidural. And also, even if you're watching this video and you are planning on having an epidural, it would still be helpful to look at natural laboring techniques, because most likely you're not going to get an epidural right when you get to the hospital. At some point during your labor, you are going to be in pain and things will probably be intense. And so it would be nice to have laboring techniques so that way you can get through the first few hours or whatever before you get your epidural. And also, maybe you'll get to the point where you decide, hey, I got this and I don't even need an epidural. My second tip is to have a supportive birth team. Really let your OB or your midwife or your birth partner, let them know that you want a natural labor, so that way they know how they can help you in that. If they don't know that, or they do know you want a natural labor, they just don't really support it, they don't really care, chances are they will distract you from that. Because there's going to be times during labor where you're going to think, hey, an epidural sounds really good right now. You may not truly want one, but you're going to think some relief would be nice right about now. So when you're in like really intense pain and your husband or whatever is hovering over you like,
oh hey, you want the epidural? Like, you seem like this really hurts. Like, I think you should get the epidural.
Or you have your midwife or whatever like,
oh hey, would you like an epidural?
If they keep pushing an epidural on you or like any sort of other, pain relief, most likely you're going to just end up giving in. Make sure that whoever's going to be with you during labor and delivery, they know that you want a natural birth. And honestly, if they're not going to be supportive of that, they don't need to be there. I guess you can't really tell the nurses to not be there. They have to be there, but you know what I mean? Just really make sure that they know that that's what you are wanting. My next tip is to breathe. And I know breathing sounds silly because we subconsciously breathe all the time, but I mean really focus on how you are breathing. Don't hold your breath, don't hyperventilate, just really calm yourself, relax your breathing, control your breathing. When you're just holding your breath or grunting and just really, fighting the contractions, it makes the pain worse, I've found. Also with controlling and then along with relaxing and controlling your breath is relaxing your entire body. Don't tense up, don't squeeze. I can't even grab onto anything because just the grasping of my hand just tenses my whole body. I can't even hold my boyfriend's hand or anything. I have to just kind of lay it on him. And then when I'm in the birthing room, what helps me relax is dim lights. I don't like bright lights. And just quiet. I don't really like anybody talking to me unless if it's in quiet hushed tones. I don't like the TV on. I just don't like noise. I don't even really like music, not even light music. But it could be different for you. You might need to talk to somebody. You might need conversation. A lot of people find that helps, kind of take their mind, get their mind on something else rather than what they're going through. What's gonna help me relax could be different for you. Only you know what helps you relax. Also know that different positions can make you feel better or worse. For me, I like to be on my hands and knees when I'm in labor, especially during a contraction. The contractions don't hurt as bad. With my second birth, my last baby, I was able to get up and walk around and do things, whereas my first birth, they kept me in a bed. I wasn't able to really get up or walk around at all. They wouldn't even let me get on my hands and knees even though I was still in the bed. I couldn't move at all. They just had me lay back, and laying back made contractions worse for me. Yeah, just know that different positions could either lessen the pain or make it worse. My next tip is to use water therapy. I was not allowed to use water therapy with my first birth. but with my second, I was able to. And what I kind of mean by water therapy is either having a water birth or a water labor. At this last hospital that I gave birth at, they said I'm not allowed to have a water birth, but I can have a water labor. So I couldn't get into a birthing tub, but they let me get in the shower. They put a birthing ball in the shower and, you know, just spray myself with the shower head. And that actually helped a lot. They let me get in the shower a few times during labor and it helped a lot, and it also helped speed things up a little bit. My next tip is to get up, walk around, stretch. Don't stay sitting for too long. This will really help the baby get down into position and just really help speed things along, which is ultimately what you want, especially if you're having a natural labor, so you can just hurry up and get the pain done and over with. Maybe some swaying side to side, some stretching, some, you know, really deep squats. Another thing that really helps manage pain during labor is massaging. I would have my boyfriend massage my hips and back during labor, during contractions. And for me, during a contraction, I don't like soft massaging, if that makes sense. I like deep massaging. I like a lot of pressure. Yeah, but maybe have somebody massage you if that's possible. My next tip is to use affirmations or think positive thoughts when the pain is just at its worst. You know, to really focus on encouragement and the positives rather than focusing on the discomfort. It just really helps to take your mind somewhere else, into a more positive state of mind, rather than just, oh my god, I'm in so much pain, get me out of this. I kept telling myself, the greater the pain, the closer he is to being here, the sooner it is you get to see him, he'll be in your arms soon. And I just kept, you know, telling myself things like that. Another thing that really helps when it comes to delivery is to do exercising and stretching during your pregnancy to strengthen your body to withstand delivery. They say that childbirth can be just as hard on the body as running a marathon. You can't run a marathon without months of training and preparing for it. During pregnancy, I really like to do a lot of leg exercises, especially with weights. And then in the third trimester, I still exercise, but I mainly just focus on deep stretching. But yeah, try and stay active during your pregnancy if you can. Another thing that's really helpful during pregnancy to prepare for delivery is to practice during Braxton Hicks contractions. My Braxton Hicks were very painful, and I had one of my doctors say that my contractions mimic true labor. I'll get Braxton Hicks right at 20 weeks throughout the rest of my pregnancy. I'll get them back to back to back. Like, I'll have a contraction, it'll last for like a minute, and then like another minute later I'll have another one, and then another one, and another one, and I'll have like 20 in an hour. They're very, you know, they're relentless. They don't stop. And they'll be so painful. I have to just stop everything that I'm doing and just focus on my breathing and just relaxing my whole body. All these tools and techniques you'll be reading about when it comes to having a natural birth. Practice during a Braxton Hicks contraction. Try massaging. Try, you know, relaxing your body, controlling your breath. Try these things. And, you know, maybe get in different positions during your Braxton Hicks, and maybe get your partner involved, so that way, you know, when the time comes for the real thing, you'll already kind of have an idea of what feels good for you. My next tip is to know your why. You'll be more likely to stick with it when the going gets tough. If you have a reason behind why you want a natural birth, you won't be able to be talked out of it so easily. My next tip is to try and have a midwife rather than a regular OB. They both have basically the same training. A lot of people don't really care, but especially if you want to have a natural birth, you'll want a midwife, because what's really different between the two is their philosophy about childbirth. I feel like OBs see childbirth as a major medical event, whereas a midwife sees it as a natural life event. First pregnancy, I had a regular OB, and then when it came time for delivery, they kept pushing medication on me. As soon as I got there, they wanted to give me Pitocin to speed up, you know, to speed up the process rather than let my body do it on its own. She kept asking me if I wanted an epidural. While I was pushing, the doctor, she said, "Is it okay if I cut you?" But she asked me that while she was cutting me. And, you know, they just really wanted to get the baby out, and she said I most likely would have torn, so she just went ahead and cut me anyway. And then Before they sent me home, they kept pushing drugs on me. They kept trying to give me medication at the hospital. They really just try and push medication on you, and they just try and do all these procedures on you, and everything is just so unnecessary. Rather than my second birth, having a midwife, they were very supportive of having a natural childbirth. Not once did anybody come in, oh hey, do you want an epidural? They let me get up and they let me walk around. They didn't confine me to the bed the whole 11 hours. But being at a different hospital with my second, they let me, get in the tub, and they let me do things to really speed things up. And that was going to help me achieve a natural birth and just make me as most comfortable as I could. They were telling me to be gentle with my pushing. They're like, you don't want to tear, you're gonna tear if you don't quit pushing so hard. And they were really trying to help you through it. I just feel like when the time comes, midwives just really set you up for success. I don't know, that could just be my experience with an OB and a midwife. That may not be how it is for everybody, but that's just how I found it. And ultimately, just surround yourself with positive and uplifting birth stories. A lot of people tend to focus on the negative. People make birth sound like it's such a crazy, scary thing, and it definitely is intense and can be scary in some instances, depending on what your situation is, but that's definitely not always the case. It's things like this that make mothers not even want to think about having a natural birth. They just want to go in straight for the epidural. Most women I talk to, they're just like, no, I want the epidural, without even thinking about it, because all they think about is how everybody tells them that you're going to be in so much pain, the worst pain of your life. But yeah, just really look at birth in a positive way rather than such a negative way. Birth oftentimes really isn't as bad as people make it sound. There are times where it gets really intense, and that's really when you need to tune into your body and really, really focus. Because if you don't keep your head, everything's just gonna fly out the window. If you're watching this and you're having a baby soon, congratulations. I hope these tips helped some of you, maybe gave you some ideas or things to try, or just things to, know and look out for. I'll see you in another video.